Happy Sunday. I am here in San Diego on our boat. See y'all. And this is my very first Instagram Live. And I decided to hop on here today because I wanted to share some things that happened this week that were really just life-changing in the sense of stepping out in boldness and just seeing what would happen. So here's the scoop. I think it was Tuesday. I saw an email in my spam folder from Brendan Burchard, who I follow, and I hadn't been keeping up with my emails very well lately. So I found this email in my spam folder saying, last chance to register for Influencer 19 tonight. Ticket sales in tonight. And I thought, wow, that sounds like a pretty neat conference. And guess what? It was here at the San Diego Marriott Marquis, where we have our boat. So, easy place to stay. And the convention is just right in my backyard. So I realized quickly that when he said tickets ended the night before, it literally was like the night before I read the email. So the ticket sales were over. That I knew in my heart, you guys, I was supposed to be at this event. I wasn't positive why, I just knew I was supposed to be there. So I set about to write the most compelling email I could possibly write to Brendan and his team. And I knew they were busy. It's, right before the event's going to start. And I shared with them that I knew I was supposed to be at their event, but that unfortunately their email was in my spam folder. And I said, I'm positive I'm supposed to be there. I've had a very difficult year. And some of y'all know that I have. I've had a difficult year in my business. I've had a difficult year personally. I've had a difficult year physically, like breaking 2 ankle bones with surgery and still recovering and recuperating from that. And I told them that I wanted to be at Influencer 2019 because I just knew that it was going to be something that would change the trajectory of the end of my year. That it would, I just knew that somehow, some way, it was going to change my year. So I sent the email off that afternoon, and around midnight, I got a response. Like, it was the nicest rejection letter I've ever gotten. And it basically just said, there are no more tickets. We hope your year ends great. We're cheering you on today and always, which is really sweet. It seriously was the nicest rejection letter I've ever gotten. So I went to sleep, but I knew I'm supposed to be at this event. So I woke up the next day, and I shared with my husband that I had no ticket to the event, that I was going to leave town and drive to San Diego and just see what happens. So packed up Rosie and Rowdy in the car, drove to San Diego, and headed over that evening to the pre-registration. And there were a lot of people there. Like, I didn't realize this was about a 2,200 person event, and I think just about everyone was there on the pre-registration the night before the event started. So I sort of checked out the situation, and honestly, leading up to that point in the hour or so before I headed over there, I just prayed. I said, God, I know I'm supposed to be here. I don't know in what capacity. Those of you who have been to these kind of conferences before, you know that honestly, the people you meet, the networking, the spontaneous conversations that happen are at least half of what you get out of such a conference. And since I basically live on a boat at the Marriott, I knew I would be running into people who'd be crawling all over that hotel. So I said, God, I hope I get a ticket into this thing, but I just ask for you to bring on whatever it is that I'm supposed to experience here, whatever that looks like. And so I found a staff member on Wednesday night, and I told him my predicament, how badly I wanted a ticket, how I'm absolutely supposed to be there. And I told him, on the advice of a friend, I might add, I'd be willing to volunteer. I realize you train your volunteers, but maybe a volunteer didn't show up and you need an extra pair of hands. I'm your person. So we exchanged emails, and he told me he would let me know if he figured out a way for me to buy a ticket. He also pointed out to me that all the people in the VIP line had a free ticket for a guest, and that some of those individuals didn't bring a guest. So I headed over to the Marina Kitchen for a little bit of dinner and a glass of wine, hoping I might meet someone with a VIP lanyard on, but that didn't happen. Just didn't happen for me, but that's okay. I went back to the convention area as they were wrapping up. The team was packing up boxes, and the volunteer I had met said, "Hey, I just sent you an email. You can buy a ticket in the morning. Come back, buy a ticket. It's $600. You're in." And I was so grateful. I came back to the boat. I tried to get a good night's rest so I could head over nice and early, and just so grateful to God for opening that door. And I headed over there the next morning, and I thought, wow, I mean, it's so awesome. I'm getting a ticket to this event I'm supposed to be at. And I thought, the only thing better than a $600 ticket is a free ticket. So I went over to the registration area, and I was looking at the VIP line. Most of the people in the line were chatting with someone else, presumably their guest. But I noticed this one man standing there not talking to anyone, and so I had to be bold. I'm not usually this bold, but I just decided to go for it. So I went up to him. I said, "Are you bringing a guest to this event?" And he said, "No, I didn't bring a guest, and I didn't really sign up to bring a guest either." And I said, "Well, if they would let you bring a guest without having told them in advance, would you like to bring a guest?" And he said, "Absolutely." So guess what? 45 minutes later, and this nice gentleman, sat in a couple of different lines we had to get through in order to get my ticket. But 45 minutes later, I had my Influencer 2019 badge on and hugged that guy goodbye. He was a VIP. I wouldn't see him the rest of the weekend because he's up in the front. So y'all, I just want to encourage you that, oh, hi Jen, I see you. I just wanted to encourage you that when you know in your heart you're supposed to do something, you're supposed to be somewhere, when you know in your heart, you sometimes have to go for it. You have to be bold. You have to do the hard thing. You have to make the 2-hour drive and show up at the convention where no one knows who you are and doesn't really care that you're there. So the next part that I want to share with you is what happened after I got the ticket. So that morning, I went in, and Brendan Burchard, who's just amazing. You guys, he's a motivational speaker. He's a business coach. He's got more energy than any human I've seen in a really long time. And he had wonderful things to share, and I'm going to get to a couple of those in a minute. And then his keynote that morning was followed by none other than Rachel Hollis. And I spent the whole morning, seriously, just even now thinking about it, I spent the whole morning trying not to just start sobbing, because as the morning unfolded, I knew why I was supposed to be there. And I just want to share a couple of those things with you, because I think they'll resonate with you as well. These are things that where God spoke to me, that I think he might be speaking to some of you as well, which is why I want to share this. Brendan's theme is live, love, matter. And when I walked into the convention hall and I saw this amazing wooden signage that said live, love, matter, I was really taken by it, and I loved what it said, but I waited till a little later to really understand what that signage was about. Point number one that God really spoke to my heart through the words of Brendan Burchard. When we are hurt, we build walls. And friends, I have built walls this year that I've been hiding behind. And when we build walls, it's to protect ourselves from the bad guys, perceivably the bad guys, but just it protects us from the bad, from the yucky, the things we just don't want to deal with or experience. But unfortunately, those walls also block out the good. So that was point number one that touched my heart in a big way. I don't want to be blocking out the good just because I'm scared of the bad or the negative or the whatever, the failure, the disappointments. That hit me pretty hard. Next up, Rachel Hollis had a few gems to just literally rock my boat, no pun intended. She said, you'll never get to be great until you've put out good enough. When you've been hurt or when you've lost some of your confidence, it's easy to get caught up in the idea that what you have to offer isn't great. It's not great enough to put out there yet. But we have to put out good enough before we can even get to what's great to put out there in the world. I love that. I'm ready to put good enough into the world to lead me to the moment when I can put out the great. Another message she shared that I just loved was in her own experience, she's had to put out the good enough. In fact, she's had to put out what sucked. She shared that her famous book, Girl Wash Your Face, was actually her 6th book, and that there were a bunch of other books before that just sucked. She challenged us to get out there and suck at something this month. So I'm ready and I'm willing. Probably what hit me the most and made me just stop me in my tracks, made me understand exactly why I was at this event, why God called me there, is tomorrow is no guarantee. There's no guarantee we have tomorrow. And we've all been called to do something. And God's equipped us to do it. He's given us gifts. And when we're not using the gifts that He's given us, we're squandering them. And you know what? We might just squander them up until the day we're not here anymore. And we don't know when that day will be. So, I, for one, want to do no more squandering of the gifts God has given me. I want to live. I want to love. And I want to matter. I want to have a life that matters. And I encourage you to do the same. Because it's worth it. We have to go for it. We have to fight for it. Just like I fought to get in those doors into that conference this week. It's the best thing I did. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for those of you who are listening to this long story. I just encourage you this week, take that step of boldness. You can do it. God's at your side. And just watch what happens. Watch the magic unfold. I thank you for being on my very first Instagram Live. Pray your day is blessed immensely. Hope you'll come back. I'm going to be sharing some other insights I got this week, maybe going a little deeper into the different things that I learned, and I'd love to share them with you. Happy Sunday.